In this video, we are going to be reviewing organization and setup of new jobs. From the main menu, we will go to the Jobs tab. This is where we organize and manage our jobs. Before you create new jobs, you will want to think about how you will organize those jobs into folders. In the next exercise, you will be shown how to create folders. You will first need to define where you will create the new folder by selecting the Home at the top of the hierarchy. Then, under File, select the option New Folder. In this dialog box, leaving the option set to Home, you can define your folder. Folders can be defined by bid year, types of projects, by estimator or project manager, or by architect, engineer, or GC. After you've named your folder, select OK to see your folder in the list. Now that you have a folder to organize projects into, you will be shown how to create new jobs. Before creating new jobs, please understand all projects must be set up with specs, assemblies, and job items, which will be used to do your zone takeoff. You will now be shown how to create new jobs and set them up with the required specs, assemblies, and job items. There are two common methods used when creating new jobs. In the next exercises, you will be shown both methods. To create a new job, you will need to first select the folder that you want to create the new job in. Then select the New button. The first method used when creating a new job is to automatically populate the job with specs, assemblies, and job items from an existing template. To do so, select the pull-down menu and choose the template you would like to use. You will then need to give the job a name. In this exercise, we will name this job Auto Setup since we are automatically populating the job with specs, assemblies, and job items from the template. The description field can be used to define multiple scenarios. In this example, we can define the construction type and its taxable status. Or, if your company uses a unique bid ID number associated with each job, you can use the description field to define that. You will want to assign a bid date and bid time. If you had previously set up labor factors from Training Video 1.2, you can define how you want to labor the project. And if you previously set up your material multipliers from Training Video 1.3, you will be able to define the supplier and the multiplier set to establish your net pricing. Lastly, you can define a default scale for the overall project. After defining all of the fields in the new job dialog box, please select OK. The job will have then been created and opened to the Specs tab, where we can see the specs from the template were automatically copied into the job. Moving on, we can see the job was also set up with assemblies copied from the template, as well as job items. Back in the Jobs tab, you will now be shown the second method used in setting up new jobs. Again, select the folder you wish to create the new job in, and select the New button. In this exercise, we will be manually importing the required specs, assemblies, and job items. For this scenario, please leave the template set to None, and because we will be doing a manual setup, we will name this project Manual Setup. As previously instructed, fill out the remaining fields with the pertinent information before selecting OK. Again, the job will have then been created and open to the Specs tab, where you will find your spec list to be empty. Creating new specs from scratch is very time-consuming and tedious. Therefore, at this step, you will always want to import your specs from the existing templates. To do so, select the Import button. Then, working left to right, first select the blue Templates folder. Select the template you'd like to pull specs from, and manually select each spec required for this project. To do so, left-click on the spec, using the Control button on your keyboard, Continue selecting additional specs required on the job. Then select OK. You will then see the specs you selected imported into your job. Continuing on with our manual setup, we will next need to import any assemblies. To do so, first go to the Assemblies tab. Please note, each assembly is based upon a spec. Before importing assemblies, please note the specs that you previously imported in, because you will want to import assemblies that have used the same specs. In the Assemblies tab, please first select the Import button. Just as you did with specs, working left to right, first go to the blue Templates folder, return to the same template you previously selected specs from, and you will see your list of assemblies. The first part of the description of each assembly defines the spec it was created in. When importing assemblies, you should only select assemblies that were made in the specs that you previously imported. For example, the sanitation above grade spec I previously imported into this job was a sanitation AG1, which is an above grade PVC DWV. When I am importing an assembly, I only want to select SAN AG1 assemblies. If I were to import an assembly, I would be taking off the assembly's material list in the wrong material. Just as you did with specs, using the Control button on your keyboard, go through and select the assemblies that you would like to use on this project. And select OK. And you will see a list of assemblies imported from your template and into your job. Continuing on with manual setup, the last items that need to be set up are job items. Repeating what we did with specs and assemblies, here in the Job Items tab, we will first select the Import button. Working left to right, start in the blue Templates folder. Return to the same template you previously imported specs and assemblies from. And using your Control button on your keyboard, please go through and select the job items on the project. And select OK. Now that you have learned two different ways to set up jobs, let's discuss the pros and the cons of each setup. The auto setup automatically populated the job with every spec from the template, every assembly defined in the template, and every job item that was defined in the template. This is nice because we can quickly set up jobs, and no matter what we encounter on the project, we will have all options available. The downside to auto setup is that you will have more options than you actually need during zone takeoff. This can make room for error and slow you down, whereas you will be filtering through many items in each list. The pros and cons of the manual setup are that it initially took longer to set up the job, importing specs, assemblies, and job items. The benefit of a manual setup is that you will only have what you need defined for the project. This makes less room for mistakes and a quicker takeoff, whereas you won't have to filter through long lists. Thank you for watching this video on new job setup.